I thought maybe I could just tell you a little bit of the story behind some of these songs and just give you a little insight on that level. So feel free to sing nice and loud. I'm going to need your help on these, so we'll just kind of bust through a few. Is that okay with you guys? High school, we did a thing called 40 Days of Purpose, a book that Rick Warren wrote, and somebody said, you should write a song for the first purpose in the book, which is to worship, and that was the scripture, and it was about a 10-minute song write. I came and played it at church on Sunday morning, and Ray looked at me and he goes, did you write that? And I said, yeah, and he goes, that's pretty good. We've been singing it ever since, and very funny little anecdote about that. That song ended up, and this is too funny if you know all about my upbringing, that song ended up in the last ever printing of the Baptist hymnal. If anybody's got a problem with this, I'm sanctioned, yo. I got to tell you this. I wanted to kind of make this little moment a little more nostalgic, and I thought, you know what? I even want to play a guitar that has some meaning to me. And so this is, it's the first time I've ever played this guitar live in a concert before, because I don't really take it traveling, because it's kind of irreplaceable. But my mom gave me this guitar when I was 16 years old. And this is my mom's here tonight. She's right there. She's awesome, and gave me this guitar, and I've had it ever since. It's just one of my favorite guitars, and I've written so many songs on this guitar. I thought it'd be fun to come and play it tonight. It is a 1962 Martin Triple-Aught 18. If you don't know anything about guitars, that's really good. So this is a song that I wrote when Levi, my oldest son, he was just born. And you know that thing when you're going to have your first child and everybody looks at you and just kind of with this really endearing little chuckle, and they'll go, "Make sure to rest up." And you know, after Levi was born, I was like, you know what somebody needed to do was walk up to me and grab me by the face and go, "You are not going to get any sleep at all. And you're going to feel like death warmed over 3 days into this whole thing." And I just remember, you know, being like stunned by when the kids need to eat every 2 hours. It doesn't stop when everybody goes to bed. And so being this, well, as Colby called me, I'm nocturnal and apparently a vampire. I had the graveyard shift for feedings. You know what I'm talking about? And so I'd have to, you know, go heat up the milk, and then you test it on your, you guys know what I'm talking about? You test see if it's too hot. And I'd always get like these red welts on my wrist, and be like, "I think that's right. I'm kidding." And so I would always like go grab Levi and hold him and feed him. And I loved that time. You know, it was like me and him just hanging 4 o'clock in the morning. Or as I call it, lunch time. And so I wrote this song, and it was really just thinking about just the way God loves us. And so if you know this, feel free to sing along. And if you don't know it, please do not. We moved out to Nashville to help start a church out there. Well, it wasn't such a woo experience. So we kind of had a tough experience, my wife and I. This is before we had kids. And I had recorded my first album and just went through this difficult season of my life. And as we went out and started touring, I honestly felt like God told me to start playing this one song. Like, it was like, play all your songs and then do this song. And what was funny about it was, you ever have a time in your life that's difficult and then you hear certain music, and then when you hear it again, it reminds you of the crummy time and you want to turn it off? Anybody? hated this song because it reminded me of going through a really tough time, and so I thought it was quite funny that God was saying, hey, I want you to record, or I want you to play this song. And so when it came time to do my second album, this buddy of mine said, hey, I've got a studio at my house, do you want to just like record a demo or something? We could just go mess around. I said, yeah, sure. And he said, what song do you want to do? And it was this one. And to my absolute amazement, this song still gets played on the radio. This version of it gets played on the radio to this day. And it was a demo that we recorded at my friend's house in Nashville in one day, which is not typically how songs are recorded. And so, again, I think you'll love this one, but I like this song now. And the lady who wrote it is amazing. So. You guys know Jars of Clay? The guy named Dan Hazeltine, he's the lead vocalist for that, and he was good friends with the guy producing the record, and he was like, hey, can I come sing on a song? And we were like, well, let us think, okay. So he came over and sang on that. It was very cool. And just another little fun fact for that album, you know, the White Album with Worship. If you listen to that record, on any of the string parts that are on there, we recorded live strings, again, at my friend's house. I know it seems wrong, but we did. And just in a bedroom upstairs. This guy comes over and he has this cello that's in what we call a gig bag, which is just kind of a soft carrying bag that you can kind of throw over your shoulder. And we start recording the strings, and they stop, and everybody starts laughing. So we walk in there, we're like, is everything okay? And apparently the cello player who came that day was playing an instrument that was owned by the Nashville Symphony. And it was from the 1700s and worth $1 million. And so they were laughing about how amazing it sounded. The viola player and the violin player just stopped playing and burst out laughing at how incredible it was. So that was kind of a cool little thing. So just know when you listen to that album, $1 million cello. It'll make it sound more expensive, trust me. All right. I know you guys will know this one. It'll be fun. So. Just give a little background behind this before we do it. Okay, that's out of left field. So if you don't know this, I used to play guitar with Steve Perry, who was lead singer of Journey. And that was a cool journey, actually, to go on. So this was one of the songs that we got to play, and it was really interesting. That when I got into his band, I mean, Journey was a band I grew up on and listened to a ton. And I was asked this question. Somebody said, "You should share this. How did you get in his band?" I recorded a demo tape in my bedroom. I don't know what it is about recording in bedrooms. And it was all instrumental music. And I was working at Wilson's Leather in the Vintage Fair Mall in Modesto. Need a leather jacket, come see me. So I work at the mall, and I had got a call from a friend, and they said, "Hey, I've got somebody who wants to hear your demo." And I said, "Okay." So my mom and I drove down to LA. This is going to date me really bad, but with a box of cassettes. Okay, wait. I said, "Kids, what those are? Those are." And all they have written on them in red pen is have my name and my phone number. And so we go see our buddy, and he says, "Okay, hey, so here's the address to go to." We drive, it's in Santa Monica, and we pull up, and it's the Sony Music Building. And we kind of are laughing because it's fairly well known that if you live in LA, you can't go into those buildings. All they have on the first floor is an elevator and a giant armed security guard. For good reason. And so I went up and he said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, my name's Lincoln Brewster." And he goes, "Go ahead and go on up." And I remember my mom and I just being like, we get in the elevator and it takes us up to Capitol Records, which is owned by Sony, and we get off the elevator. We're in the A&R department. This is kind of like getting into the Pentagon, but it's music, the music version. And so we walk in, and this guy walks out, and I knew who it was immediately, because he was actually a member of Journey for a short while, named Randy Jackson. And yes, it's the guy from American Idol, that guy. And he really talks like that. He was like, "Yo, dog, what's up, man?" And I was like, "And nice to meet you, sir." And all he did was great. I handed him the tape, and he was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, dog." And that was our dialogue. So about 2 months go by, I don't hear anything, and go back to Modesto, and I'm just crushing it, selling jackets. And I get home one night, and the phone rings, and my mom comes out and she goes, "Hey, Link, the phone for you." And I said, "Okay, Mom, do you know who it is?" And she goes, "I don't recognize the voice, but he says it's Steve Perry." I was like, "Ha ha." She said, "I seriously don't recognize the voice." And so I pick up the phone, and sure enough, it's Steve Perry from Journey. And I knew his voice from watching him on MTV. And And I turned like 5 shades whiter than I am now, which is hard to believe. And so he and I ended up talking on the phone for like 3 hours and just hit it off, and he had my demo playing in the background while we were talking. It was amazing. And so he said, well, hey, if you happen to be down in LA, look me up. And, you know, I happened to have been on my way there a few days later. And the schedule just did that. And then, do we have the picture? Well, it's not as interesting as you think it's going to be. So this is the truth. So I get in his band, and he said, "Man, I wish I had heard of you years ago." And I was like, "Well, you could have." So you know, I'm from Alaska, and I had an opportunity when I was 15 years old to open for Journey in Anchorage, Alaska. And it was Journey's last 4 concerts they ever played. They were sold out at Sullivan Arena, 4 nights. Last time they played together in that band format. So I was trying to get to open for Journey. And my mom found the letter that I typed to the promoter. And I haven't read through the whole thing, so this is pre-Christian days. So this is your waiver form right now. So I think we have the letter though. This is the letter that I wrote to the promoter. It says, on my recordings, I write all, this is page 2, on my recordings I write all of the songs, play all the instruments, and sing the lyrics that I write. My mother, Cheryl, who is a professional musician, sings all the vocals that she writes. As far as my capabilities go, I can play nearly any cover tune you can name, and I already know many. Some important things to know about my personality are, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I'm no freak. I'm a clean living kid. I do well in school. And what does it say? Oh, and back by my family, 110%. Trinity, Carter, these are guys at the radio station. Kevin and K. Whale, that was the name of the state's Alaska name. Come on, K. Whale. Are behind me. Also, George, if you would say yes to me, you would make, you would rest assured concerning the opening act of these shows. Also, I guarantee that it would be the best show that you've ever seen from a 15-year-old. I was developing my gift of persuasion. In conclusion, I would like to say that if given this opportunity, I will never forget you. You would make me the happiest guy in the world. I'm confident that you will make the best decision concerning the opening act of this huge show. I have worked very hard to get to this point, and I'm going to keep working. I won't let you down. Signed, looking forward to seeing you in Anchorage, Lincoln Brewster. But wait, there's more. P.S. This, and it was taped to the letter, is my lucky guitar pick. I hope to see it again in Anchorage. Yes, subtle. And I didn't get the gig. And Steve never heard the end of that. It's like, dude, I was right there. Where were you? And so yes, that's a little bit of the backstory behind the Journey stuff. And I had a great time playing with Steve, and my family and I actually had lunch with Steve Super Bowl Sunday of this year, and it was great to see him, and I get to hang out a little bit. And hopefully we'll get to hear him do some singing at some point before too long. So, you gonna sing this a little bit? Oh, here we go. When the lights go down in the city, and the sun shines on the lake, oh, I wanna be there in my city. Whoa, come on, Mom, step He always getting shortchanged, so I figured, you know what, I'll give some love to this guy. When I moved to Nashville, after playing with Steve, it kind of opened some doors and kind of added some credibility to what I did. So this guy called me on the phone. I picked up my cell phone one day, and he goes, "Hey, this is Michael W. Smith." And I was like, "Hey, man." And he goes, "You want to be in my band?" And I went, "Okay." And I said, "Wait, do you want to hear me play first?" And he goes, "No." And that's how I got in Michael's band. It's a way less interesting story and shorter, but it was far more efficient.